Welcome to the STEM Career Accelerator. I'm Bobby Sass, and I'm going to be with you throughout your career transformation journey. This is an introduction to the STEM Career Accelerator, so let's get started. In this introduction, I'm going to introduce you to the three-step system for transforming your career. I'll give you a little insight into how this program is going to progress throughout these 12 weeks. I'm going to introduce you to the old career model and a new career model. The three-step system to transform your career starts in identifying your deeper purpose, and then we progress into looking at the practices that will sustain your professional practice, and finally moving into developing your expertise. And this three-step system may at first glance appear linear. 1, 2, 3 steps. And in principle, that is how this system works. But we need to be dynamic in this process. Sometimes we're going to be working on practices and we're going to need to loop back and look at your purpose. Sometimes we'll be into expertise area and we'll need to loop back and look at your purpose. And sometimes we'll be looking at the practices that are going to sustain you and help you develop what you need in your career. And we're going to need to touch in on, well, what about expertise? Let's make sure that these practices are aligned with expertise as well. So there's some flexibility built into this progression from purpose, practice to expertise. This system forms the foundation of this program, but there's going to be many more details that are revealed in this presentation and in the subsequent lessons. So if it feels kind of without form right now, that it's pretty basic because it's only 3 words, that's fine, because I'm going to present to you a lot more information that's going to build out the meat from the skeleton of purpose, practice, and expertise. So just a few more details to get us started. Purpose is going to include things like shifting our mindsets to find our deeper intentions. We're going to look at purpose in order to match our career purpose to our life purpose. And this is because a career is an intentional act. It's something that we choose to do. You can have a job, you can have a professional job. You don't necessarily have to have a career. But if you do choose intentionally to have a career, let's align that purpose with your life purpose. Because ultimately, work-life balance is about having life as the priority, having your career serve your life. And we're going to do goal setting that is going to focus on our authentic desires. So let these authentic desires, your deeper purpose, drive the setting of your goals. And then looking at practice, the first thing we want to do is we want to understand the nature of deliberate practice. So doing practices that are intentional, that are based in purpose, and that have a purpose. Practice is also about developing daily practices in order to form routines. Routines, however, are dynamic. They're not set in stone. They're something that we explore throughout our lives. From day to day, we do our best to establish daily practices that form routines. And we try to sustain these routines over weeks and months. But there are times when it's like, this routine's not working for me. Something needs to change. So we have to be dynamic in the routine process as well. And then also practices about developing your niche skills into a professional practice. And you may have many niche skills already, even if you just have a bachelor's degree and haven't started working yet. And certainly if you have your bachelor's or even higher degrees, master's degree, PhD, you're going to have tons of niche skills that are readily able to bring you into a professional practice. Now, your professional practice isn't necessarily something that you do independently. A lot of times we talk about a geologic practice, or an engineering practice. And that is one way of looking at practice, but I'm also talking about the professional practice that you do as an employee within your company. That's also a professional practice. So it's multi-layered. And then expertise. First thing we've got to do is we've got to understand what are the traits of experts. We have to identify what it means to be an expert and how experts actually work. And then we want to apply. Now that we understand deliberate practice, we want to apply deliberate practice to developing our expertise. And then we want to align your personal and professional brand with your knowledge, skills, and experience. Because your knowledge, skills, and experience, that is really what forms your expertise. But we want to present you as an expert in balance with your personality and who you really are. So your brand is both personal and professional, but based in that expertise. Okay, moving on to the program progression. So the program is heavy in the beginning at looking at your deep purpose and understanding career fundamentals. And that will taper off as we progress through these 12 weeks. And we'll start small with practices and build those practices up as we move through. Expertise is going to be part of the entire journey because we are STEM professionals. Expertise is huge in STEM careers. So we're going to be looking at that from the beginning, looking at your expertise right off the bat. But we're not going to be too heavy into that until we've established your purpose, until we get some practices in place, and then we'll really start looking at developing your expertise. And again, remember that the 3-step system is dynamic, and we're going to be moving in between each of these steps at times when necessary. And what's surrounding all of this are all of the other important aspects of this program and your career. So we're going to be looking at things like mindset, your personal brand that's branded in your profession. We're going to be looking at soft skills, technical skills, your resume, interviews, and building your professional network. So the old career model. The old career model is what is sold to all of us when we start our careers. It's basically the way that most undergraduate programs are designed. So we get our degrees and we're told that we're going to go out and we're going to get an internship and get into an entry-level position. You may start this while you're already in your bachelor's degree before you even graduate. And for many STEM careers, there's field work involved. And so maybe for the first 1 to 3 years, the model is that you typically start with the field work. Then we move on to getting our license and certification. And for many licenses, that's about 5 years of experience that you need. And then we move into project manager at 5 to 10 years, or product manager if you're in engineering and software. And then you keep climbing that ladder and you become a business person. You're working on business development and delivery. You're working on developing clients. That's about the 10 to 15 year mark typically. And then eventually maybe you become the subject matter expert or you become a director in the company. And the way that this whole thing works is it relies on social conformance and that your career forms your identity, that much of our identity borrows from our career. And this typical progression pushes us from being an employee to becoming a workaholic, and us thinking that overwork and hustle culture means that we're successful. So this is a fixed career trajectory where we just climb this ladder. And unfortunately, this is the model that's ingrained in the global corporate capitalist cultures. So we tend to go into autopilot. We just assume that this is the way that it works. So we're like, okay, well, I'll just sit back and my career will develop along this fixed trajectory. Okay. Until we get hit in the face with the dreaded career ceiling. You got to watch out for it. And you have to avoid it. And there is a way to avoid it with the new career model. But let's get a little bit deeper first on why the career ceiling happens. The big reason is that we're told to pick one general career type and stick with it for 40 years. And the generalized career types, there's 4 of them essentially, with an example for each of them here. The knowledge-based career type. So as an example, that would be an electrical engineer, someone who has substantial training and education. And then a skills-based person. They still have substantial training and some education to be an electrician. And the entrepreneur-based general career type. So this might be someone who's in electronic sales or someone who's selling electrician services or selling electrical engineering services. And then there's the freelance model, which isn't necessarily knowledge-based, isn't necessarily skill-based, isn't necessarily entrepreneur-based, but it's a mix of these. And so maybe you're owning your own cell phone repair business or your own cell phone repair shop. And so you have a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of skill, and a little bit of entrepreneurship. But the new career model is the hybrid career model. And this hybrid career model is not going to follow the standard 6 stages of career development. And the U.S. Chamber of Commerce describes these 6 typical stages as an assessment, investigation, preparation, commitment, retention, and transition. Now, these 6 stages rely upon the old career model. So basically, you're in school and you're assessing what your educational options are. And you're kind of like, okay, well, I like this, I like that, I don't like this, I don't like that. So, okay. And then you're investigating what careers can I actually develop with this? And then you maybe start actually working. You're like, okay, getting an idea through the working process of what I like and what I don't like about work. And then you start preparing to develop this career. And then you're in it. Stage 4, you commit to it. And then stage 5 is about staying in it. Stage 5 is about retaining your career and about your employer retaining you. And then eventually it's the transition. Either the transition is you move up a major rung on the career ladder, or maybe it's the transition to retirement because you've progressed, ascended through all of these important stages. Well, this is just not how the hybrid career model works. The hybrid career is about a mix of roles and responsibilities requiring knowledge, skills, and entrepreneurism and a freelance spirit. So notice that we do take on those generalized career types, knowledge-based, skills-based, entrepreneur-based, and freelance-based, but they're mixed. So we're not going to follow these typical 6 stages, at least not in order, because these stages are actually events in a cycle, and the hybrid career is about cycles within cycles. And so there may be times as we're progressing through our career where it's like, oh, time to investigate this. Okay, a little bit of preparation, maybe commit to it again, and then move on. Continue with your career. And you're not going to be fixed into one role during your hybrid career either. So let's look at this in a little bit more detail. The old career model is about social conformance, career as identity, one expertise, and then maybe 1 or 2 jobs in a lifetime. That's an I-shaped professional. So you start with a limited set of skills in the beginning, and you continue to develop those skills, build it down, maybe until you develop 1 expertise. So you start within a narrow area, a narrow niche, and you just continue to build your career down narrower and narrower and deeper into that niche. But the hybrid career model is different. As opposed to being about social conformance, it's about self-exploration. And instead of identifying within your career, you identify with yourself. You're authentic in yourself. And it's not one expertise, it's your expertise. And your expertise is based on multiple specializations. And you can have numerous jobs in a lifetime. The fact is that pretty much everybody after the baby boomer generation is already in a hybrid career model in one way or another. But are they doing it intentionally? Are you following the T-shaped or X-shaped career model? The T-shaped model is basically where you have a foundation that's broader than the I-shape. So you have soft skills, technical skills, you're starting to develop specializations, maybe even an expertise, and then you expand those out so you have a nice broad top of the T, and then you say, okay, well, this 1 or 2 areas of specialization, I'm really going to drill this down deep and develop a deeper expertise in this area. So you have a better foundation than an I-shaped professional, but you still have 1 or 2 areas of specialization or expertise. The X-shaped professional is even more advanced. And the X-shaped professional are people who are very successful CEOs, people who are at the top of companies in the technical sphere, that they're maybe a technical director, those sorts of really high-level ascended careers. That doesn't mean that the X-shaped model can't be followed by anybody. And we're going to talk more about the IT and X-shaped career models in later lessons. So how do you get from where you are now to where you want to be? Use my 3-step system, purpose, practice, and expertise, so that you can understand the deeper purpose for your career and the decisions that you make and the goals you're seeking to achieve. Develop the practices that support these purposes, and build your expertise that deliver the career of your dreams. So we're going to get deeper into 3-step system as we continue to progress through the program, and I look forward to seeing you in the next session.